All right, I'll call the September 10th, 2025 meeting of the Fire Station Building Committee to order. We're meeting in room 120 at Town Hall, also available via Zoom. We do have two committee members remote, so I'll take roll call attendance. Aaron Hunt. Here. Jim Kinney. Here. Chris Baker. Here. Todd Lindmark. Here. Mike Gallagher.
Here.
Jesse Anosik.
Here.
Rick Champagne here. First agenda item is public comment. Donna shaking her head no. So no public comment. All right. First discussion item is OPM report. Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to pretty much pick up from the report that I gave for the August committee meeting. As far as lawns and landscaping, the acceptance of the landscaping was deemed August 30th, with the exception of bioretention basin number 1. So that maintenance of the lawns is now by the town. The site as-built that was submitted to the planning department by the contractor did come back with some comments. I responded back to Rich McCarthy on one in particular, which was a GIS requirement, which related more to subdivisions as opposed to a GC working for a town for a building that was already on the site. He hasn't got back to me 100%, but he seemed to somewhat agree that it may not be applicable. I know, but in addition to that, I had reached out to him to say, give him an update on the retention basin, and had looked at potentially extending the TCO to the end of October. The board met last night. Planning board met last night. They actually extended the TCO for the site to February 17th. And there was some discussion of the basin, which I know is a separate item, so we'll get into that in more detail coming up. Closeout and O&M finalization, that has been ongoing. I know Dawn Whittier had some conversations with Castagna on some cleaning up, somewhat formatting in some cases, and also some slower subcontractors, but that is continuing on because we want to get the final binders and electronic files to Tim Chenard. We forwarded some already just for his use, ones that were ready to go, but we want to get the full package out there, copied and delivered. There was also discussion of the alternate means of egress. We've been sort of chasing the GC on this, and I know he's chasing subs because there's a few that are involved. We haven't got that pricing come back in yet, but that is still out there. The sub-metering issue for the tracking of the power usage, which ties into our energy and actually our tracking with a Mass Save. There was a change order issued for that, mainly for tying it into the building management system. So that that change order has been signed and issued, and came in under what I had budgeted on the added work list. As far as warranty issues goes, we did have our 1-year warranty inspection on the 26th of August. The 1-year warranty expires on the 11th or the 13th. I'd have to look back. So we wanted to do it in advance. Castagna did attend that, so we walked the outside and the inside of the building, and we have a list that's going to them of items. It wasn't all that bad. As far as Pro AV and finalizing their audio-visual work, they've got training scheduled for next week. They were somewhat delayed by some change order work that had to be performed by the electrician for some cabling, which they did. They were there actually the day that we were doing the warranty inspection, taking care of a bunch of small items. So hopefully we'll have the remaining of the audio visual, which was mainly the making sure the training room was tied into the AV closet, because the fire department has a class or a presentation on the 18th, Chief, I believe. Yeah.
Class, yes.
Yep. So from what I saw email wise today, it looks like Pro AV is coming in the 15th and the 16th to finish programming and then give you guys training. On the added work list, we did get up the purchase order out for the FirstNet system and the murals to fast signs. They was needed to get some paperwork in, which they did. We have, well, actually, I'll skip the ribbon cutting because that's also separate. Um, there is a prevailing wage claim that's out there that we have to respond to from the HVAC contractor. We had responded once, and he's come back again, so we're going to follow up with that. It's just a matter of doing it. We also received a public records request from the Foundation for Fair Contracting in Massachusetts. We often get requests from them mainly for certified payrolls. In going through the certified payrolls that they were looking for, they were actually looking for all of the subcontractors. We got it reduced down to ones that they were mainly interested in, because it's not a 2-second deal to get that information out. We did find that there was some certified payroll information missing, so we are now chasing that, getting that buttoned up. But we've started to send responses back through Judith to get to them and respond to that public records request. And then budget wise, I looked at the budget again. I certainly still have to do a deep dive to make sure I've picked up everything, but we are approximately have remaining 1.195 on our budgeted funds. So last time we were at 1.25, but we did issue some change orders. So I want to do a finalization of that. Part of that finalization is what ends up happening with the bioretention basin. That is somewhat my update. You know, we can roll into the detention basin if you want to now, or unless there's some questions.
Questions for Steve on the OPM report? All right, no questions. We can, next discussion item is the detention basin. Steve.
Okay, I'm gonna start it off, and then John and Don from Dolan Whittier can also chime in as necessary. I think everybody knows that the bioretention basin number one, which is the large basin in the front of the building, has been holding water. That's not how it was designed. It was designed to drain within 72 hours. We've been meeting and on site and talking about this for a while with all the parties involved, which includes Nitch, who is the civil engineer, Castagna, the general contractor, even the landscaping contractor was involved in some of the discussions. There is some opposing sides as far as what the cause may be. Niche has noted that there was some erosion of the side slopes because they hadn't been established um, with grass due to the timing of the construction of the basin, which really sort of started end of November, December. Um, and they're one of their positions is that there's some siltation within the layers, and this bioretention basin has multiple layers. It's actually 4 foot 7 inches from top to bottom to where the existing subgrade is. It's a combination of mulch, a soil planting mix, a sand layer, and a couple stone layers. But their concern was that the silt got into the mulch and was holding up the water. The contractor has a somewhat different take on it. Their belief is that the groundwater table is actually higher than what was assumed when the design was, and part of that assumption process is where that basin is where the existing fire station was. So test pitting was done as close as possible to check soil conditions, but not exactly where the building was. Sort of long story short, because there's been, like I said, multiple meetings and so forth. There's some data that's missing that we need to confirm because there's theories on things, but we want the data. So we're scheduling. Niche is scheduling to do some augering and some sampling of the top 3 layers to see the amount of silt contamination and whether the layers are in a saturated state, meaning that the groundwater is at a level that may not have been anticipated. We are once that date is confirmed, which I believe will be shortly, and I'll let Dawn Radio chime in on that. We're going to have all parties there to witness the testing, make sure everybody knows what occurred procedurally for the testing, and if they have any questions or may want to grab samples themselves. But we need that data to confirm and determine a remedy for this. Part of what occurred during our last meeting, which was the 22nd, there was the concern about the standing water, and that was about the time when we were having some hot and humid weather. There was an odor to the standing water, and there was concern about mosquitoes. I did talk to Blair in regard to doing a quick short-term fix for that, which was to pump the basin down into the overflow. And then Tim Mullen from Norwidia found these what they call mosquito dunks. They're tablets that you can put into a basin that will kill mosquito larvae, which we're gonna do that just to allay that concern that it may be a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So I know we got a heavy rain Saturday. I'm assuming maybe Chief, you can tell me it's holding water at this point.
Lots of it. I think it's gone down maybe an inch and a half or 2, maybe.
Yeah. That Saturday was a very, very, very heavy storm in actually a relatively long period. So that's sort of maybe the overview. I know, Don, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. We also have John Thompson and Tim Mullen on the call from our office. So as Steve said, there's a lot of speculation about what the cause of the standing or the holding water is in the basin. This thought that maybe it's perch groundwater that's higher than what was anticipated based upon our other investigative work around the building, and or what Niche is speculating, which is that if this silt did in fact infiltrate the basin at the lowest level, it could create essentially a membrane, right? Which allows the water to remain on top of the surface and not infiltrate down into the soils below. So what Niche has proposed, and I should say, Sandy Brock from Niche got on our most recent call. She's a senior person over there that I've worked with for years, and they actually experienced this on another project where this silt did create a layer, and uh, there's no way to know until you do some penetration into the basin itself. So Niche is going to come out basically with a hand auger, right? And auger down into the basin so they can view the layers and see if the water saturates all the way down through, which would perhaps would be speaking to groundwater issue, or if in fact it's being withheld by the silt layer up higher and is in fact dry down below. So that's the next step that's being proposed by Niche, and as Steve said, everyone of interest would be out there to observe the findings and to possibly take samples from the different soil the different soil compositions to see if they in fact meet the specifications. So that, and I think John, what we saw from Marissa today, she was proposing Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. Am I right about that?
Yeah. The idea of the augering is to do it while there is standing water in the bottom of the basin, and they would actually auger through that water into the layers below. And if there's a barrier at the top surface or the top plane of one of the layers, be it the planting mix soil that's below the mulch or the sand layer that's below the planting soil, and they find that the material underneath that interface is dry, that means the sediment is preventing the water from migrating downwards. And so the idea is to do it while it's wet. And with the rain that was, I guess, anticipated Tuesday, it doesn't sound like we need to wait for that, but with the rain that was anticipated this coming week, or rather over the weekend, they thought Tuesday or Wednesday morning they could be on site with the auger and a shovel and do some really not very intrusive exploration right in the bottom of the retention basin. Hopefully, as long as it doesn't get into anything more major, it really wouldn't leave too many visible scars for the grand opening in October, since they'd be boring through the water. So
that's the plan.
Yeah.
Any questions, Evan or committee on what the plan is? Maybe comments?
Aaron raised his hand first, so he can ask first.
Is there a cost associated with this?
For this investigative work, no.
No.
Good news. Have all interested parties agreed to what the testing process is?
The testing process just came out, so we have not forwarded that to the contractor yet, but I can't see where they would be opposed to anything that's been presented by Niche.
But we're going to confirm that all involved parties agree with the testing procedures before we do them.
Well, I guess.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess if they don't agree, then we would strongly advise them to suggest something else.
Yeah.
Short of getting out there with a backhoe, which is a heck of a lot more intrusive, this seems to be a reasonable way to approach it at this point.
I'm not suggesting that it isn't. I'm just concerned that if all parties don't agree to the process, then one of the parties could say, well, the testing procedure violated the testing procedure did something that exacerbated the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is a hand auger, so it's pretty non-invasive. Um,
Yeah, or they don't agree with the
I
method.
think the bigger thing I'm just gonna share, because I'm a little frustrated at this point with this piece. And I feel like we've had meetings, you're right, but I feel like there's a lot of finger pointing. And quite frankly, I'm done. I don't care. I don't care who's responsible for the mistake. I don't care who, whatever, but we need to find a solution, and it needs to be agreeable, and the finger pointing needs to stop. Like, because we're not getting anywhere with the finger pointing, and some of it seems completely ridiculous to me that there's no way enough earth moved to completely create a membrane in that basin. There's no way enough earth eroded to do that. Plus, there has been the erosion control and the silt socks have been there since the day they dug that. Like, so, but regardless of that, like, I just don't want the finger pointing. And I can see exactly what Mr. Hunt is talking about. If one of the parties doesn't agree with the way it's tested, they're still going to refute and say that ain't our fault. It's not enough. And I want the finger pointing to be done, and I want this to have a solution and to be taken care of. Period. Like, enough with the finger pointing. Agree on a way to test it, agree on a way to fix it, and then somebody needs to step up and be accountable for whatever the mistake was or whatever it is. Just take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, to what you said about causing any damage to it, you're doing it with the water in the basin. You're using a hand auger, although it's a small hole, you're opening up an avenue for any siltation that's on the top. If it's dry underneath, that's going to want to drain like a bathtub, and it's going to pull siltation in with it. So does anybody on the call know what the gradation of the stone is underneath? Is it like, I know it goes, sand to stone. What size stone is under there?
I can tell you in a second, Chris. Just had the detail up. It starts off as 3 inches of mulch, which gets a seed mix on it, which hasn't been applied because of the water issue. Then it's 24 inches of the special planting soil mix. Then it's 12 inches of sand. Then we have 4 inches of double washed pea stone, and then 12 inches of crushed stone, and then you have your subgrade. So that gives you your 4 foot 7 inch cross section of this this bioretention pond.
Okay, thank you. And is there a plan on how deep they're planning on trying to hand auger? Because that hand auger will go through the pea stone, but it's not going to cut into the 3/4 stone.
No, they said they were going as far as the sand, right, Don?
I believe that's correct, Steve.
Yeah.
John,
Okay.
yeah,
Into the sand layer.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
And
my concern.
there's no argument that the layers didn't go in as they were supposed to. So that's
Okay.
to take that off in case someone was wondering about that. So it's that has not been an issue.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is if they punch through that sand into that pea stone and it opens up an avenue for all of the water to drain from the top, that's great. There's no more water in there, but that's going to take a lot of siltation down with it, and it's not going to spread throughout the whole basin, but it could spread into the pea stone and the 3/4 stone, and then you're looking at probably replacing a lot more. So I think it should just be done with caution.
Yep.
What's interesting about that perspective, Chris, is if that in fact does happen, then it does show that the basin perhaps is not working as designed in the whole, everything's not saturated throughout.
Right, but I think if it's not working as designed and it's wet up top and it's dry down the bottom, that's the upper layers that are causing that issue, not the stone.
That is correct. Yep,
underneath.
Right.
yep, absolutely.
You know, so that the stone underneath could be in great shape and just the top layer or you know a certain depth from the top needs to be replaced. And just again, if we allow siltation to be carried down to that stone underneath, it could cause blockage in the stone that isn't currently there.
Mhm.
Has anybody said that the design is inadequate?
Well, I think the only way that the short answer to the question is no. But the caveat to that is if it was based on an assumed groundwater table level, because the bottom of this layer of materials needed to be 2 foot minimum above the water table. So if the
So
water
is-
table was higher, then that would have defeated the design.
Is the testing procedure going to confirm the water table?
Well, I guess to a degree, if you know, the idea is that they're going down to see what may be fully saturated, and if it's fully saturated, they're thinking that that's groundwater table.
Yep.
Because one of the things that has been talked about is it was built when it was somewhat drought conditions, and then we got heavy, as you remember, the spring, the early spring and so forth, we got a lot of wet weather. So, you know, maybe because when they got down to the subgrade, there really wasn't water coming into the hole. And we had to confirm that subgrade, we had not only niche representative come out, Beta had a representative there, and the Board of Health agent was there all the same day to confirm that they had you know, prepped the subgrade, the existing soil properly.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, all parties involved confirmed that there was no water in the basin.
Yeah, I mean we have photographs of it too on the day, which was, well, I don't remember the day, but it was in the fall of last year.
All right, so is it conceivable that over the course of construction, it was wet? The ground is currently saturated, but that doesn't mean that the water table is elevated. It means that the construction site hasn't dried out yet.
I would think at this point, the construction site would dry out.
Are we thinking or are we confirming?
What is your suggestion?
I can say this. Once there was water in that basin, it has never been dry ever, except for when it got pumped out. And even then, it wasn't bone dry. That it has never been without water. Since water's been in it, it has never been empty once.
Did it ever function properly?
No, never, not once did it function properly. From the first time it rained and water got in that basin, it has not drained.
Yeah.
The only time it drained to a point where you could see the bottom was when it was pumped out completely by DPW. It has never worked as it was intended, ever.
I don't know. I mean, I
And we
guess.
had them pump it out the first time for that July when we met on site at the end of July
Yeah,
and the bottom, well, the mulch layer was getting moist. And they had pumped it the day before.
So just to finish my thought, I fully understand the intent behind the testing measure, but I'm not convinced that it's going to answer all of the questions.
I agree. You know, and I was just gonna say from my experience with these hand augers, they are, you know, as long as it's the common hand auger that we use in geotech engineering, it's about yay high, you know, maybe 6, 8 inches tall with 2 slicing mechanisms on the bottom. So you dig in and you hope that when you pull it up, you've got some sort of a plug, but it's only going to be 6 or 8 inches tall. And when you pull that first plug up, water's going down inside that hole and it's going to soak into the next layer. So every layer you pull up is going to be wet. it's very difficult, and it takes a, a very, very highly trained eye to be able to tell whether or not that's saturation from water that's currently in the basin or water that's actually in the ground.
And I think that's the problem. And I think that Aaron was getting at with the testing is, okay, so now we're relying on someone who we don't know truthfully, like I think there's a assertion by the engineers that the silt has caused this, right? But they're going to be the ones and the only ones trained to look at it and tell you yay or nay. So it needs to be an agreed upon and weighing all those variables, because I want the finger pointing to stop and I don't see it stopping.
Well, as an alternative, and this could be floated to niche, there is a machine called a geoprobe, which it basically takes a 5 foot long plastic tube inside of a housing and it vibrates it into the ground 4 or 5 feet. And then they can extract an actual core without disturbing what's in there. So the water will not have a chance to penetrate all the way down the bottom until this core is actually removed. So you'll be able to cut this open, cut it in half, and look at each layer throughout the entire thing. It's obviously more expensive than a hand auger because it involves having a drilling company come in and do the work. But it actually will yield a result that is probably more accurate.
Right.
Is there any other way to confirm the groundwater table before this test is done? Like through a monitoring well or some other method?
Well, we have the monitoring well that's part of the basin, but it only goes down so far. And we actually used that to do some measurements when we were out there in July. To be honest, I questioned whether them augering with the basin full of water was the correct thing. I thought it might have been a typo that they would want it pumped out, but Don and John said, reiterated that they want it with water in it, or actually having, if it was dry, filling it with water. Am I correct, Don, on that?
And it's not necessarily that it's full, but that it has a wet surface that you can get through, so water was there, right, or is
Yep.
there, and
Yep.
when you go down through, you can see the layers below.
Well,
I guess your point about, I don't know how much standing water's out there now in terms of depth. It
Several
may be,
inches, so it's probably,
how about this?
probably over my ankles.
But you go out there on a day that has water in it, like right now, or it's, as you said, it's probably going to be there next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. You pump it off immediately before doing the auger,
Right.
with no water on the surface that's falling down inside the hole, and you do the auger then. So you're going to get an actual idea of how deep that water is penetrating.
yeah, thank you. I was just going to suggest that also.
Or you could pump it out, do a test, and then fill it. Test it again if for some reason they want to do it, the test with the water.
Honestly, if you get a good auger hole that stays open, you could get a garden hose with clean water and put it partway down that hole and pump water in there and see if the water disperses or if it fills it up and leaves the column full of water. It's basically what they call like a falling head test.
I'll go back to my initial comment. The testing process needs to be agreed to by all parties. But I still think the testing process is incomplete because there is one party that has said the water table is too high. The testing process isn't going to tell us what the water table is. Or maybe I'm mistaken. And from what I'm hearing, none of what's been explained is saying we're defining what the height of the water table is.
Or definitively, because to Chris's point, once you auger through the water and it gets down to the lower layer, how's it going to tell you whether it was groundwater sitting there or whether it's water that just got into the hole?
The only thing the augering is going to do is tell us whether there's siltation, but even then, we're relying on the people that saying the siltation is the problem to tell us that siltation is there.
The siltation's at the surface, though. It's a common retention pond design. That's why, like neighborhoods that have retention ponds that don't maintain them 20 years after the neighborhood's built, they don't work anymore.
And that's another piece of my frustration is that we were told this was no maintenance. All you had to do was trim the stuff we put on it once or twice a year. But now we've been told it's got to be turned over, it's got to be maintained, which is not what we agreed to. And there's no way at all that the DPW director or the facilities director at that time would have agreed to that.
Chief,
Because
there was an update on that, Chief, from Dawn Whittier and Nitch. Is that was, I guess that was an incorrect statement. The only maintenance that is required is to remove any kind of tree sprouts or whatever that may come into that basin, not raking it out. That's all. That was
Yeah.
also new information from yesterday.
okay. Well, forgive me if I don't trust it or believe it. 'Cause
Well,
I
that
don't.
and that's that the other thing too is the samples that come out, we want those, or I had mentioned that they should be tested by an independent third party, because you need a soils lab to say, okay, this is the percentage of silt that's in this sample, and you have a sample of your mulch layer, your planting special planting mix layer, and then your sand. Because you sort of want someone that doesn't have any skin in the game.
Yep.
That was something that Mitch said could be done as they pull the samples up with the auger, is retain them and send them for sieve analysis if that was needed. So
Yeah, the only way to get, the two issues that I had brought up for a while was confirmation that there is actually silt contamination in these layers, and what the elevation of the groundwater table. Now, I know what they were saying is if they get down to the sand layer and that's fully saturated, then groundwater is there. It doesn't tell us what the elevation of the groundwater is, but it's there. That would still have to be, I guess, investigated further. And maybe the idea is get some of the initial data first and find out which way it's going. But if there is a redesign that's needed for the basin, you're going to need to know where the groundwater is.
Right.
Because you may have some capacity issues.
Right.
Now, the more I think about what I said about a falling head test, while this auger hole is open, I think it would be an excellent idea to run one of those, because that will tell you if that water falls into the lower layers of this basin, it's going to tell you that your issue is up in the top.
So it probably needs to be some combination of pump it out right before they auger it so they can verify, okay, it was definitely wet 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Do that and then be able to run your test too and be able to not have to worry about the infiltration that's going to happen, or basically the bathtub drain you created that's going to suck all of the.
Yeah, I mean, you can run them at any elevation. You can run multiple ones as you're augering through it to get data from each layer. It'll give you a time versus amount of water drained or not drained. Sometimes you fill them up to the top of the tube and it just sits there and you watch it.
But if I'm not
I think
mistaken,
maybe Don and John and Tim, you got to go back to Nitch and give them the feedback that we're talking and listening to tonight, and
Yep.
make those recommendations that they implement. And maybe the Tuesday, Wednesdays, if they need more time to set up, that may not work. But ideally, I think we'd want them out next week at the end of next week latest.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Sure.
I don't want to hear recommendation. I want to hear this is what we want. We want this done right. I mean, I'm no engineer, but if you're going to be putting something down through water to see if you've got water below it, aren't you going to kind of take some of that with you? And couldn't that skew your results? Again, I'm not an engineer, but I'm just thinking logically how we do this. But I don't want to hear that we're making a recommendation if they do that. I want to hear we're going to do, this is how you're going to do it. Because we need an answer. And what I don't want to see is this all to fall back on the taxpayer because somebody did something else wrong. It's just not, it's not right. So I think that we need to be a little stronger than a recommendation. That this is how we want it done. We want it done correctly so that we actually get good data and we also want to test it by a third party. I'm not comfortable having the people that have, that could have a big bill sitting on their desk telling me whether or not they should have to pay it. That's a problem for me.
I'd agree with that, and also gets back to the chief saying, because you got the contractor saying it's the water level, you have the engineer saying it's the silt, so neither of them should be doing the testing. It should be a third party to say, okay, this is the actual issue with this retention basin, and they should probably also review the design. I don't know if the design, sorry, I'm coming in late.
Could you introduce yourself?
Sorry, I'm Tim, I'm the facility director. But I don't know if this design was reviewed by a third party engineer as well. Ever as part of the process of the building. But it would make sense to me, and then you have undeniable proof and unbiased opinion that it's the silt, it's the groundwater, and this is the steps you need to take to remedy it.
Tim, just so you know, this went through, because it's all site related, did go through the planning board, and they did have Beta do the peer review on the designs throughout the design phase.
Okay, thanks.
And that's
Yeah,
why
that's
we
why I
also,
say, because I don't know, because I'm coming in extremely, so that's why I always say I don't know what happened before, but.
That's a great point. We asked Beta what their opinion is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and I was gonna say another option is just to do a single test boring adjacent to the basin and put in a groundwater monitoring well, because if you put it in, it stabilizes and you read water at the same level that's in the basin, you know your problem's groundwater. But if you read it, 5 feet below the bottom of the basin, then it's not.
Which gets back to we need to establish where the groundwater table.
100%, yes.
Are there any other potential issues with the basin, or are really the only two causes, either it's clogged with silt or the groundwater table's too high?
I think those are the two primary or reasonably suspected potential causes.
I mean, we did hit ledge in one corner, which it was chipped out and dropped down to the proper level. But that side of the, obviously we know that the west side of the site was heavy ledge. The other side of the site, it must dive at that point, and we didn't encounter anything when we did the east lot and the utilities there, but that was discussed or brought up as what if we're over ledge, but we didn't encounter ledge on any of the other utilities that we did on that side of the project. I suppose if you did some drilling for a monitoring well and you hit refusal, then you would know if we had ledge in and around that basin area. But again, that's where the building was.
The monitoring well that is existing there, though, there's no, like that one white tube that sits there now that's used for measuring, is it?
How deep is it?
I don't know.
That was not drilled in. That was basically a monitoring well that was set into the excavation, perforated pipe with the wrap around it and the clean out cap.
But do we know how deep it is?
I'd have to look back at the dimensions. It's more than a couple feet deep. It sticks out about, I think, 37 inches out of the ground, and I think it's down 4 or 5 feet.
Okay. But it's not deep enough to really.
No, it's like I would call it a local monitoring well, if lack of a better term.
So in detention basin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the middle.
Oh, so it's at the bottom of it and it goes.
It comes up out of the bottom of the retention basin.
Right.
You know, like he said, and then goes down into it.
But it's right now at the top of it sitting in the water.
Yes.
So it's full of water. So it's not going to affect anything.
I don't know. I think, Chief, was that, I know you sent me a photo, I don't think it's got as high as that cap.
No, it's not as high as the top of it.
Right, but it's perforated at the surface, or is it solid riser at the surface, or
It's a solid riser at the surface. They wrap it up to the top of the mulch layer, which is the perforated, and then I'm positive that's a solid piece of pipe coming up to the cleanout cap.
it'd be helpful if we could get a reading on it? But I don't think a reading is necessarily conclusive if it's full of water. If it's dry, then that tells you something.
Right.
But
Well, it's definitely not dry. That it's been the OPM, our OPM, or our clerk that works would go out and check that thing during this, and it was always water.
I think we're getting to, in my head, we're at the point where we just need somebody to tell us that these are the right testing procedures to answer all of the questions that have been raised. This is how we're gonna do it. This is when we're gonna do it, and everybody agrees.
Yeah, I was gonna. Thank you. I think that's
I agree.
exactly what I was gonna say, is that it's really not the committee's responsibility to figure out testing. It's.
Right.
I mean, I know there's engineering architects on this committee, but it's not our responsibility to figure that out. I think asking maybe Beta their opinion, but the two things are, is augering through the water the right thing to do? And two, how do you figure out the groundwater table? Because if that's the issue, you're gonna need that data anyway to redesign the basin.
Agreed.
I feel like we're saying too, though, that we feel like from our, we have a civil engineer here, like it is not the right thing to do to auger through the water and then try to give us results.
Yeah, I
think that is absolutely not the proper way to do this.
Yeah, I think our concerns need to be expressed to the niche.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I don't believe that Niche was expecting to have standing water on top, just for it to be saturated. So, but we absolutely hear your concerns, and we'll bring those back, and we'll figure it out with them.
Right, but we do need answers from Niche. I mean, my understanding is this has been going on since the spring. So, I mean, we're going on 4 or 5 months here. So, like, we need answers from Niche now.
Agreed.
So Don, if you wanna set up a call with them to go over this, I mean, I can certainly attend.
Yep. That would be good. We can talk offline, Stephen. Figure out the best time. Maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've been dealing with them as they're your sub-consultant, but we have had the mass attendance calls, Teams calls in the past. It doesn't have to be a giant group, but if we want to relay what the concerns are and give them direction to do a little bit more robust and I know maybe safer testing, we can have that conversation with them.
But and to Aaron's point, there needs to be something in writing from all interested parties, and I would include Beta in that too, since they were out there and observed it, and they can be somewhat of a third party, that this is the correct way to do this.
Yeah, we were going to invite Beta to this also, so they were on the list to attend. So I'm thinking at this point they're not going to be out Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. There's going to be a little bit more time to straighten this out, but I think we don't want to go much beyond Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a day where I'm working from home, I wouldn't mind attending that as well.
I can let you know. I can
Yeah,
CC you on an email, Chris.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions on the detention basin? All right, now, an easy segue off of that, but Update on the ribbon cutting ceremony.
So ribbon cutting, with the help of my deputy, we, looked at some historical, data, but also old programs from when they dedicated the building we just tore down. It was kind of formatted like this, so I just need to make sure that the content of this is what you all desire and the names and the people, but this is kind of a draft, it's kind of a draft start, so I don't have everybody's names and everything, but this kind of mimics the 1966 program when they had a dedication. The only difference being with their fold, the picture wasn't on the inside, it was on the outside, but our picture's on the outside, on the inside. So, and what we plan to try to do is make this a nice printing that's more on a cardstock or something, so it can actually be like a take home from the event for people too. So, imagine it being nice cardstock and a nice print with the rendering of the station and the program and everything where it can be. Just trying to kind of capture two birds with one stone, if you will, like have something people take away from the event, but also not break the bank trying to buy a trinket that'll probably throw in the trash 6 months later. So that's what we want to do. I have these samples. These are in black and white, but this is it's before it's with dark enough or whatever. Just and then 9 o'clock would be the start time for the ribbon cutting. We have obviously a place for our select board chair to speak. I think Kevin, you should probably speak, and if there's anything else you all want to see as far as content in there, we obviously are going to do ribbon cutting, and we have a little ceremony like christening of the new station, kind of passing up the garbage wheel, hooking up the old and the new that Deputy Kelly is taking the lead on, which is going to be a part of this as well. But we just kind of wanted to make sure captured. I know I have some other names and things to be, but this was more just putting it in a format and trying to get something that is together so you can see what it's coming together like. Invitations, I think you all have gotten the little invitations or flyers that I sent them.
You sent it, I didn't send it out.
Okay. All right, no problem. But he has them.
I'll
It's
make
like
a note.
Yeah.
Email to committee.
I put it on our Facebook page and things like that. So it's been on Instagram as well. We'll probably do another social media blast, like to promote it. But yeah, that's where we do have Deputy Kelly has already set up kind of a alumni dinner, if you will. It's the night before for all the retirees and some of the dignitaries or old timers that we have, so they can be a part of it and kind of making it a mini quasi weekend for honoring those that honestly some of the programming and stuff that I pulled for the design of this came from stuff that his dad did as a chief and what Coleman Bushnell did as chief. So I thought it was important to kind of honor and bring them in as well. So but yeah, this is just a general layout and form, and obviously content wise I want to get information from you all. If you have somebody you feel like that needs to be mentioned or documented there, just make sure I have it, I'll put it in play. And
When we can meet that by.
I can have that as late as like 2 weeks before probably, but yeah, I can have that's probably the latest 2 weeks before. I have to like notify
Somebody like kind of next week.
Yeah.
So that's the 4th. Yeah, so end of next week. All right, can you email this
Yes.
to me as well?
Yes.
Just send them both.
Yep.
to everybody.
And then yeah, you had some questions. We had some questions about what is available fund wise to support this, because if we got this printed nice instead of me just printing it on the printer station, I'm sure it'd be come out a lot nicer. I mean, I could go buy cardstock and do that. Like, I'd rather.
I thought we had a line item in the, when we approved
I think I carried something for,
wish list money, there was
ribbon
something
cutting.
in there. Do you know what that amount was?
let me see. Hold on.
So that can be first. Was that gonna be for food and stuff too?
Line item is not about use, like, so the cool thing about open house is we get repeats.
Yeah, who's already there?
And then
2,000.
we have food trucks and stuff too.
So I'm assuming cardstock's not gonna cost you $2,000.
No, I just wanted to make sure, like, if I go, like, and get this professionally done as opposed to that we have some, I imagine it'll cost $3 or $4, like,
When you say professionally, then you mean like Staples printing and cardstock?
yeah, not nothing crazy. Yeah.
Hire a designer, right? Do the whole nine.
No, not doing that. No, I don't mean like, yeah.
I mean, I think the cardstock's gonna look a little nicer than a folded piece of paper.
Yeah, and I think, they have the, even at Staples, it's gonna be, the print quality is gonna be better, and,
Yeah.
they can clean up the file and stuff like that, like that's,
I think that range seems fine. If you think it's gonna be more than that, then we can talk about it. So,
okay. You all think, I was thinking, 150. My foot. How many do you think we need? Is it 12?
look, yeah. How many people do you usually have show up to open house?
This is different.
It can ebb and flow. Some years we have people lined up and cars lined up everywhere, and some years it's.
What you print, I mean.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna take one.
Yeah.
If you have extras, you can put them in the library or something,
I guess find out. Yeah, the cardstock must come in certain packs,
Yeah,
100 or something like
100
that.
or 200.
Yeah, right.
All right.
I don't figure it out. Yeah.
$199.
All right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just Kevin, one thing, if I might interject on the ribbon cutting.
Sure.
I mean, if you don't need it, let me know, but we had a bunch of ceremonial scissors in our office. I've got one in my truck now for this. You don't have one, you don't have to buy it, it's the large size and
Yep.
and a red ribbon to cut.
Yes, we need that.
I'll have that with me. The other thing, I don't know if the committee members know, but the beam signing, the beam signing is a lot easier because the location of the beam got changed, so you don't need a lift. You just need a step ladder.
So far, last meeting, I was the only one who signed it,
Still haven't done it.
so.
Where we're going after
Trying
this?
to go down there. Aaron might not even need a ladder. Yeah. Anything else on the ribbon cutting? Action items. So first is review and approval of Vertex amendment for continued project coordination. So
I'm sorry, I got one thing.
Sure.
I just can't let it go. Based on the conversation about the detention basin, let's say there's water in the detention basin the day of the opening. Sounds like it's a pretty good possibility. Should we pump it?
If we don't pump it, there definitely will be water. There's not a if. It is definitely going to be water if it's not pumped out.
And so can we get it pumped out for the $2,000 less printing costs?
Well,
who's been pumping it?
DPW pumps it out.
DPW.
You could ask the DPW.
Us DPW to do it on the Friday before.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Good question.
Yeah, I had already approached Blair back in August, so.
All right, sorry.
Okay, all right. So first action item, review and approval of Vertex amendment for continued project coordination. So we distributed the amendment, but it didn't happen until today that it got attached to the agenda, Steve. So maybe you can just walk through it. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at it.
Yeah, essentially, from the last amendment, which was back in March, I believe, we made it through halfway through last month's invoicing. So what I did is, I mean, I sort of put just some hours to our team that has been working on the project. I've submitted this as a T&M not to exceed. I a lot of what may take some of this time is what we do with the bioretention basin. We've already spent hours on that, which was not an issue back when we did the other amendment. We got the public records request, which has taken some time. Some of the landscaping stuff. We've got the prevailing wage claim that needs to be responded to. And just sort of continuing the purchase orders and chasing the added work, making sure that these vendors or the subs are doing the work and getting it done. My intention is that we don't spend $40,000, but I thought if we do, 5,000 and 10,000, I'd be coming back, more often than not for another amendment. So that was sort of my thought process behind it. You can certainly comment on what you think.
Do you have a copy you can put up on the screen, Steve? I mean, I have it printed out.
Hold on. Let's see.
So I guess one couple questions I have are, what is the understanding this is T&M and you're only going to spend what we spend? What is the hours breakdown that you've assumed? I think the other thing, and I'm open to the opinion of the rest of the committee if this is a good idea or not, is can we get this broken down into two tasks? What you're estimating for to deal with the detention basin, and what you're estimating to deal with everything else. Because if there's some issue with the detention basin and we want to try and recoup money related to it, I think it would be good to have it broken out. So
accounting wise, to answer that question, accounting wise, I can create something that will be basically a separate phase for any hours moving forward, and we can figure out. I know some of my hours in reverse, but so that they would show with a comment being, this was for the bioretention basin work.
If you had to guess, I mean, what do you think the breakdown is between the two? The detention basin and then everything else.
Well, I'm just trying to
Let me propose a slightly different idea, which might prevent Steve from having to guess or estimate. I mean, this is hourly T&M, right? So are you submitting hours, Steve? Are you submitting itemized hours?
Yes, that's how our invoice comes in with our hours, the date and the hours.
So it could be accounted for over time, right?
Yeah, just what we've received to date doesn't have like a comment that tells you this is related to the detention basin.
And I can add a comment if you.
How is it itemized? It just says we spent this many hours.
It's
the name of the employee, the date, and how many hours for that day. Like
I think
from construction, he was 8.
Yeah, I'd say if you can, going backwards, it would be great to try and identify time that was spent on the detention basin.
I can, because I keep my own little log on.
And I would say going forward, all hours should be logged with what's being done.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, for future invoices, put a comment next to the hours.
Yep, for everything. Okay.
It kind of does the same thing you're asking, right?
Sure.
Steve, that 55,000 that was approved, how long did that last?
That lasted through our last invoice, which was August, middle of August.
So 6 months of time?
So we approved it in March. So
Approved it in March, so it was implemented March through August.
Yeah, so like,
That's
so
5 months.
you're not that much less, so you're getting another 5 months out of this. Like, if we're doing this in 5 months, we need to incentivize completion of the project. I say we prove something less than this,
Yeah, that's fine.
and just as a way to say, I mean, I'm not saying we don't trust you, Steve. I know you're doing a great job, but like, at this point, I would rather us have this conversation every month than it's try and justify a big number and then leave it out there. So, I mean,
We can do that too. It's just a matter of me doing another amendment, if it's necessary. I don't have an issue with that at all, Aaron. I mean,
yeah,
I want to be done as much as you want me to be done.
yeah. I hear you. I mean, in my head, that's incentive to finish. And it's further incentive on your end to not spend time that you know you don't need to spend on the project. So, I mean, I'd say we cut this to like 2025.
Yeah, I would say in half. I think
That's fine.
Pat's invoice was 5,000, so that's 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I can amend that. I don't have a problem with it. Again, I'm just trying to do as much as is necessary, to get these items completed and, be out of your hair.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments on the amendment, Mike or Chief or Todd? Yeah. Then I will ask for a motion to approve extended construction admin services not to exceed amount of $20,000 for Vertex.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second, whatever.
Third.
We'll take a roll call vote. Jussie Inosik,
Yes.
Mike Gallagher,
Yes.
Chris Baker,
Yes.
Aaron Hunt,
Yes.
Steve Kinney,
Yes.
Todd Lindmark,
Yes.
Kevin Champagne, yes. All right,
Thank you.
so you can just update this for 20,000.
I will.
Steve.
Yep.
Okay. Next agenda item is review and possible vote regarding LaFret electrical invoice and power issue. I think the way there's actually 3 invoices that we're going to discuss, one from LaFret, one from ESCS, and one from
Air cleaning.
air cleaning specialists. So, Tim, I don't know if you want to go over all 3 of them or if you.
Yeah, I can speak to them.
Can I just, before we get started, sorry.
And so just to give a little background, these are expenses that the town, or we are the town, but Tim and others are looking to apply to the project budget. If that's a good way to describe it.
You have something you wanted to say?
Yes. I want to jump in here. So I just sort of setting the conversation or background, right? I mean, we many months ago now had a conversation about ending the spending of this project. We reviewed a list of things and said, this is it, we're done. So why are we even considering new things?
So these are, I guess, outside of that list. And so I thought it was prudent to bring it to the committee and see if they agreed on it. But if we just want to dismiss it out of hand, we can certainly do that. So I was asked that they would like to apply this to the project budget. I wasn't sure why we would do that. And so I suggested we have a committee meeting as part of the committee meeting to discuss it.
So
under that backdrop,
yeah. So the fraud was called in on a Sunday. We had an emergency call from the fire department for a loud electrical buzzing coming from above the ceiling. Facilities responded to the event because of my unfamiliarity with the project. I called the electrician that the town works with regularly to open and inspect the electrical box. So I'm not going to have my staff who's not qualified do it. Open that. They found while on site, the buzzing went away. After the fact, it was determined that it may have been part of an electrical event from the power company. Um, because it was new equipment and it was unknown to us, I sent it off to Steve Kirby for review, hoping that Bright Light would respond. We later found out, I later got all the contact information for Bright Light and found out what they cover under warranty, what their warranty response is, which does not include Sundays. So that was forwarded over. The invoice was not covered under the facilities operating cost because there was the outstanding question of whether or not it would be paid by Bright Light or be paid by the project. And that's we are here for that.
So so the cause was a surge from the
After,
electric company?
after the fact, it was our best guess is that we may have lost a leg of power, this three-phase, and that caused that electrical component to create the noise that was concerning for fire department, myself included. We also had some low voltage equipment that needed to be reset. So kind of backing up that assumption. But again, at the time, we have a fire station that needs to function. This needs to be addressed. We need to confirm that the building is safe. So
I agree. I mean, my personal opinion is that this is part of the operation of the building, and so it's not really a project cost. It's not anything that the contractor did on the project that, I mean, I don't think that personally that this should be funded by the project, but I'm open to.
I mean, I'll clarify that statement, right? I mean, we've gone through the process, the building's occupied, it's turned over. And the committee is here to try and close out the open items on the building, not operation and maintenance on the building.
part of the reason that and the other invoices are on this list is because we have not turned over the building, so I don't have the O&M manuals. I definitely didn't have anything from the architect or the OPM at the time. So that's why, again, that's why that's here. The other two items, one is, if I can speak about those now, that way just
Sure.
I'm done talking.
Yep.
One is for the security and access controls, which is another year subscription. Todd might be able to speak to that a little bit more if you have questions specifically about that. And the other one the chief had brought to me was part of the exhaust system for the vehicles for the garage. So again, brought these.
But these are maintenance agreements.
These are maintenance agreements, but there are maintenance agreements from the original installation contractors. Many of these I haven't even gotten O&Ms for yet, so that's why they're here again. So but this is something that's been outstanding since, was it June when I brought this invoice over? So it's not new. This has been outstanding for months.
And the stuff with the security cameras, they basically held any of the work you all approved to be done until that was done. They were refusing to do any of that until that was addressed.
And that is the ESCS invoice.
Yes. Because they won't add the cameras unless that is done.
Why haven't all the O&Ms been turned over, Steve? Or whoever the right person is to ask the question, instead of going over your question.
Well, the O&Ms were slow, and I can let Dawn Whittier chime in too. But some of the O&Ms came in very good. They had GC had trouble with some of the vendors. What we did is, we had sent the contact list over to Matt when he was still here because we knew that he might need to call someone. So did we specifically send that list to Tim? Probably not. I guess we just assumed that it was available somewhere. In the meantime, we've sort of put together some important information that Tim had requested to get, which is some of the videos on the HVAC equipment and so forth. I guess I'll ask Tim and John now, I know a couple of closeout documents, I got notifications on that seem that they're closed now. Maybe you can give an update on the ones that were outstanding, because I know the sprinkler guy was one of them, I thought.
Yep, I had requested sprinkler, fire alarm, and elevator.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was asking Tim Mullen from Dorwood.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
I forgot that Tim
It's
C.
been
Tim
some
M.
emails
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, Steve, we still have some that we had received them initially and they were returned as a revise and resubmit. We're waiting for some of them to come back in. I have a handful that I am in the process of reviewing and hopefully closing out. There are still some that we just have not received the closeout submittals for. The major ones being MEP, FP, we have received them, and as I stated, some of those are in a revise and resubmit status. As you had mentioned, the sprinkler system is one of those.
Okay, but I know they've sent them in a couple times. Are they close? I mean, is this a formatting issue, or is this content?
Yeah. The most common things had to do with formatting, as in tabbing and numbering to coincide with the index so that the owner can actually, Tim and the fire department folks can actually find the information within the binder without having to flip through 2,000 pages of material.
Understood.
Right, but let's get back to what, I mean, fine, maybe we don't have all the O&Ms. The building's been turned over. The contractors have all been paid and have moved on. Like, we're
Not
not,
100% yet, but close.
or well, then you tell me, Steve, like, what are these? Are these maintenance costs or are these project costs?
We're holding monies in particular for closeout and a few warranty items. And Tim knows my response initially was that they're not project related. That you would get these maintenance contracts and you're going to get them yearly for these systems. And if something comes in that affects a building that's with Ngrid or Eversource or whoever, that ends up being an owner cost, not a warranty item or really a construction item. But I leave the decision up to you guys as to whether you want to.
So from the project team's point of view, are there any open accounts that are still being drawn down for project costs?
Well, we have a balance of I believe $133,000 on Castagna's contract for punch list items and closeout and the lawns. But that it's essentially the monetized punch list, if that's what you're asking. I mean, it's not like a change in contract. It's not a change order. It's balance of their contract that's due.
Yeah,
Once they finish.
I guess my opinion, and part of the reason why I wanted to bring this up is I think my understanding is Steve has had this conversation that he doesn't think these are project costs, but the issue keeps coming up. So I said, we'll bring it to the committee. My opinion is that these don't really seem project related. They're either maintenance agreements or someone coming out to investigate some electrical issue that has not anything to do with any of the contractors.
I mean, I think I'd agree with that statement, but I want to like not have this conversation again. So like, is there a scenario where it seems valid that a project cost would be reviewed by the committee?
you're saying some,
But there's some thing that could happen.
something that comes up in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we're,
A change order from a contractor.
for
maybe?
what, for work they're not doing?
I don't know.
I mean, every contractors are done, right? Except for this detention basin.
And I think the work list that we voted
There's
on.
Yeah, there's some
Those are-
change order work, yeah.
But that's-
We've already
we have to agree on.
reviewed and approved. They're gonna come back for a change order on the change order?
No, they'd be applying for payment on it once they were completed. But it doesn't change the budget.
The monies are already approved for that work.
Yeah, you've already approved it, right?
And we had the conversation then that we were done with project work. That was the end of the project work. I think everybody knows where I stand.
Steve or Chris or Justin.
The one that I pushed back on a little bit, I understand the maintenance contract for the exhaust system and but the camera one, I pushed back a little bit because we can't even, they weren't gonna come do the work until that was taken care of, correct? They won't add the cameras and the cameras won't work without that being done. So that is project based, like it has, in order for us to get the cameras and the change order to be completed, that had to be done, which from a logical standpoint, I think that's a project expense. I don't know why that is.
Because they're looking to get paid to come back to the project.
Well, the change order was approved for three additional cameras. The license renewal is for I think it was 11 original cameras that are in the building. So this license isn't for the new work that they're installing, because that's part of the change order. This is, hey, we're a year is up in essentially a couple days. This is the next maintenance agreement for the 11 original.
But they won't include or do the new cameras without us doing that. That's the issue, is that they won't.
Are they, what does this have to do with the other cameras, or are they just strong arming to get this?
They may be strong arming, but like the other cameras, if they come back and do them and they're put on the same system as this, they are that has to be done or they won't do it.
Well, then let's reconsider the 3 extra cameras.
No, we have to have the 3 other cameras.
But they've already started some of that work, as far as the infrastructure goes.
It's regular maintenance, it's annual subscription.
There's nothing in here that talks about cameras, installing cameras.
Right, an annual renewal for them to cover the cameras, right?
So where's the proposal cost for the cameras?
The proposal cost for the camera, that was way back in March. So that was when.
They're saying they're not gonna do the cameras unless we pay for another year of maintenance.
That's what is for us to be done. They won't install.
So we approved money for the cameras when we went through that whole long list.
Correct.
Right.
Regular operations.
But that maintenance agreement has nothing to do with the 3 new cameras.
Understood.
With
What was the
original. And
amount
I think the strong arm comment that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah,
That's
I
how I
have
look
a
at
question. Are they sole source? And how much is this contract that they want? How much is this maintenance agreement?
Is it $1,400 or something like that?
$1,454.
Are they sole source? I mean, whose cameras are in there? Are they generic cameras?
It's the, they not generic camera, but it's the Linnell Systems support.
No,
Annual.
I understand. I get what it's for. My question here is, whatever. I'm with. I don't believe this is part of the project. I think this is maintenance costs, and I think we're wasting a lot of time here with all of this stuff. It is maintenance costs. It's associated with the operation of the building going forward. And I'll have an offline discussion on the contract as the procurement officer. But I think it sounds to me like they want that other year of maintenance from us, which, I mean, it's $1,400. We're not talking about a ton of money here. It's a rounding error in our budget. But going forward, I just want to know if we're married to these people for the rest of our lives, or if this is we can go out and bid this thing and you
So
I
in-
think to
in-
answer your question, this is not these cameras weren't proprietary as far as I remember, and they're certainly not making friends with the town of Norfolk by doing this.
no, they're not.
So I would not, I would say, you boot them, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Okay.
we won't, the only reason this is coming up now, I don't think we were gonna even think about renewing that, but they won't install
So
the other
how
cameras
long-
unless we do.
How long have they known about the other cameras to install?
It's March, yeah.
And why haven't they come out?
Because we haven't paid that. That's required in order for them to install the
But
new
back in
cameras and
March,
integrate
but back
them
in
the
March, we
system.
still had 6 months of agreement left on the year that we had. So you're saying that 6 months ago, they wouldn't install it because we wouldn't prepay for the following year of service from them?
6 months ago, we approved the change order. ECSC is or ESCS is a subcontractor to Bright Light, the electrician, who is, that comes under the security comes under the electrical file subbidder. So the time that the change order came from us to the GC to Bright Light to ECS, who knows what time period that is? They probably didn't get the go ahead for a couple months. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure because we don't have direct contact with their subs, but
That's irrelevant to their service contract. Doesn't matter when they got the notice to do the camera work. The camera work and the service contract are distinct and separate things.
But they're not treating this, that's why.
That's not a building
That's not
committee
a-
problem.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I was gonna say is I know when we approved the added work list, there was a line item for the cameras. I'm assuming this 1454 can't be absorbed into that list somewhere. I mean, if it can be absorbed somewhere in there and there's no change in the bottom line, then
We need to review that, the cost of all that kind of thing. There might be some money left in that amount of money that you approve. But I don't know how much, I don't know. Steve,
there probably is because we didn't pull the trigger on everything yet. But the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I sent this out a number of different times to these contractors is, and Tom, I'm glad you're there. There was a whole host of in the first year of quarterly reboots and maintenance that needed to be done and reports submitted, which we didn't get. When I questioned them on it, they said that they did not have a VPN access. And I know you chimed in a couple weeks ago about getting in touch with them. Has that happened?
They did not contact me. Anytime that they want to get access and they contact me, I work with them to provide a way to get in. I don't leave the VPN wide open for them to come in anytime they want. So if you have a maintenance schedule, then contact me and I'll work on that window with them, but they did not contact me, so I don't know. But the time they contact me to do the work, I did work with them. At least 3 times in the past.
Okay, I guess, all right, because they brought that up again in that long email chain that I copied you on. And I think that was because of the and they're going to need that for the three additional security cameras too. So that was something that when I started to look into this whole license renewal, I noticed that there was all this essentially they owned a 1-year maintenance agreement that had very specific things that the electrical designer included. And I started asking for it.
Back on them, because they didn't do it, they have your contact, and they know because
They know, but they have to work with them before.
So that means they're full of crap then, because they didn't do it, and they're trying to blame it on us like they didn't have access, but they knew how to get access and didn't do it. Nobody in the cybersecurity world is leaving a VPN or leaving access wide open to a VPN ever. That's a cardinal sin. So it's not unreasonable to have to contact an IT director to get access into a system, especially when you've done it 3 times for other reasons, and you don't do it for maintenance, or you don't let him know what the schedule is so that he can do what he needs to do on his end, that's not like they're not fulfilling an obligation. I think we need to push back that to them. Like, I think they're trying to they're trying to hold us over the coals with the new camera install to get this license done, which is what I thought from the beginning.
So
Or to extend an agreement that they haven't done in the first place.
Which I didn't realize they hadn't done any of that in the first place. But that's a good point. You want us to
Yeah.
pay you $1,400 to do something you haven't done in the first place, and you're now saying you won't install the new cameras unless we do it, but you haven't done it anyway.
Yeah, I sent all that out to everybody a number of different times, including GDD, who was the designer on this. And then, like I said, in one of those responses I got back is they said they requested VPN access, but it wasn't provided. So
That's
I think at that point is when I added Ton. No, Ton was on there. So yeah, they're not, if I see them come around again, I'm not going to be necessarily looking them to be on another project of mine. It's been difficult. I think we had difficulties with them originally, didn't we, Tom?
Oh, yeah, that's when I make the comment that can we get somebody else in instead of them?
Yeah,
Back
that
then,
was the people that we had issues with from
yes, we
the
did.
whole time.
We
We've had
did.
issues with them.
I did had issue with the ESCS, the way that they work. Right, that's why I was asking for a different sub, but
Can we just ask the electric sub to find somebody else to do the work?
Or tell him to pay the bill. I bet you they'll figure it out then. Give the bill to them and say, hey, this wasn't done. The maintenance wasn't done.
I can certainly ask. I mean, I've made it pretty clear. I guess as far as extra hours, this was one of them because I had to untangle this whole thing, which should have been very straightforward.
It seems to me like tell the electrical sub to have his subcontractor do it or find somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I can do that. Because I know the electrical contractor came out and because we needed to run some raceways for one of the cameras at the far end of the building, and they did that. But that's Bright Lights guys, not these guys.
So the action item said possible vote. I don't know if I should call for the vote or not. It sounds like it's probably a no, but I can make a roll call vote.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if you don't get a motion, there's no need to vote on anything.
Is
If
anyone
we're not gonna vote, let's just be clear on what the action items are. Sounds like Steve's gonna go back to the electrical sub and say, I'm paraphrasing here, Steve, because this is how sounds in my head. Steve's gonna go back and tell the electrical and could sub to either have his sub do the work or find another sub to do it.
Yes.
And the maintenance contract is not gonna be signed.
outside project costs? Yeah.
And if a new one is presented, it's a maintenance cost, not a project cost.
Sound good, Steve?
Yes. I'll suggest too that Bright Light provide an alternate vendor for the cameras for the next year, if that's possible.
Okay.
Last action item is approval of meeting minutes. This is August 13th, 2025. I think there's actually two.
Yes,
It's
yeah, we have-
May and August.
We have one from last meeting where we didn't have enough people to vote on it. So I'll ask for a motion to approve the May 21st and August 13th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Right,
So you have to do a roll call vote.
I have to do 2 roll calls because the
No,
attendees were different, I think.
No, you do
No.
one roll call, because it's only approving the meeting minutes as is, it's not whether or not they're there.
Oh, okay. Then, all right.
But you have to do a roll call because Justin
Because
is
we have
here
people
on the
Yep.
virtual.
Right, Kevin Champagne,
Yes.
Chief Kinney,
Yes.
Justin Yanosik,
Just to be clear, I can vote even though I wasn't here for August because I'm voting on the content, not the presence.
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay, then I'm a yes.
Aaron Hunt,
Abstain.
Chris Baker, yes.
Mike, you have to ask Mike Gallagher.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike Gallagher, not used
Yeah,
to that one.
I'm going to abstain on both, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't at any of those.
Tom says yes.
I miss you.
You're getting
Doing,
rough.
I am doing well tonight.
Yeah. All right, the motion passes. All right, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Jesse Yanosik,
Yes.
Mike Gallagher,
Yes.
Linmore, yeah. Aaron Hunt,
Yes.
Chris Baker,
Yes.
Kevin Champagne, yes. Chief Kenny.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed you. It's contagious.
At least I'm not the only one.
All right, thanks, everyone.